And welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here and checking out the series. Please do hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the interviews that we put out. 3 brand new interviews a week. Great way to keep up with your favorite artists. I've got one of my great musical heroes today back again, Robert DeLeo. Hello.
I want to know what kind of coffee you're drinking to say that all?
You know, this is tea right now, so it's
I have to switch to tea. I'm drinking too much coffee, I guess.
I had the espresso earlier this morning. Hey man, you have a new album, and I guess this is the first time we get to say this is a solo album, right? With Lessons Learned.
Yes, and I usually say it with a British accent now because it sounds sounds better.
Yeah.
A solo album.
Yeah. That really works. That really works. Well, first off, let me compliment you. What a beautiful record, and what great songs. And to set it up, you're working with other musicians. You've got it's a different sound than some people might expect from someone from Stone Temple Pilots. Although if you've been a fan, I think the press release says this too. It's like you'll recognize a lot of this. But how did this come about? Why did you want to do this? And why is it the solo album?
Well, the world allowed us a lot of time to kind of reflect and do things and rethink life, and had a lot of time to kind of sit around. And I really wanted to get back in touch with my guitar playing, really my acoustic guitar playing, and just sitting down with all my instruments again and getting reacquainted with those really kind of set it up for me to, the more I played, the more I wrote. Mm-hmm. And that's usually what happens. And being introduced to some new instruments at that time, kind of inspired me to go in different directions. And I just kind of kept it all acoustic, just with everything that was or not happening at the time, I should say, with the pandemic and everything. So that's kind of what sparked it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you did sort of come from an acoustic spot right before it too, and referencing the last STP record with Perdita. Was that sort of part of the pathway to this one?
It was. I think it was. I think I just really felt in my heart this was kind of where to keep this record and put it. It's definitely from a more gentle area, and I kind of felt like that's where it needed to be.
Yeah. Well, beyond the music, it's, I don't know if you'd call it a concept album, but there is a thread that runs to it. You call it Lessons Learned. There's a lot about love on the record. That seems to be the template. I mean, right from the beginning, we get the single "Love Is Not Made of Gold," Jimmy from Ours. Yeah. What was then the story that you wanted this album to tell?
Well, it's kind of been a journal and a diary for myself on this whole journey of kind of figuring out that question of what love is. What is it? Where does it go? Where does it come from? Have I learned what it is? It's all those things involved. I think it's a universal question that we all experience, but I think it's just my version of it and what I've experienced over the past couple of years.
So did you notice that while you're writing? I mean, is this something you kind of realize afterwards, like, oh, wow, this is the headspace I'm in? Or was this something you can actually sort of look at and say, I have this opportunity to plan this out? And from there, you have to figure out how every song sort of tells that different part of a story.
Yes. It was something that was in progress. And mostly my acoustic instruments are my therapists. And they're my friends, and to sit down with one of these guitars it's how I work out what's inside. It's always the constant question of whether it's a curse or a gift being a musician, because it's almost inviting to go to these darker places. But when you sit down with an instrument, it kind of works it all out for you, or you work it out with the instrument. And that's kind of what it was. It's like I said, it's just my diary and my journal of what has, happened in my life over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Well, so you give your diary over to others then to put the vocals to this.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the decision there? And I guess the easy question is, how did we end up with this group?
I'm very, very fortunate to have great friends who are great vocalists. And I've had people who have listened to this and said, why didn't you sing more on this? Because I sing vocals on the last song, Is This Goodbye? Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to have this record be something that I was critiquing. I wanted it to be something that I could listen to and have someone really handle these vocals. And I want to be a fan of this record, of listening to it, not only writing it, but listening to it. And the people I picked, it's a matter of not only the writing, it's a matter of really putting your production hat on, your producer hat, and getting the right keys for these songs, and knowing these vocalists and where their sweet spot is on where they're going to really present these songs the best way. And I really think that I got the best, and they gave the best of these songs. And quite humbling, to have friends who you can give lyrics to and say, do you mind singing these lyrics? And do you mind singing this melody? And them adding to that with their touch and coming up with something. I mean, I couldn't have been any more satisfied than Tim Bloom, Pete Shoulder, Cara Britz, Johnny Irion. Just amazing. Amazing what everyone did.
Well, yeah, right. And having, as you mentioned, Cara Britz on there, it seems to me that like there's an opportunity, because as you're telling these songs about love, does that, having someone, a woman opposite you, does that give you the opportunity to sort of make it a conversation in a way?
Yeah, it does. Yes. And I've always loved that standpoint from a female, and that point of view that comes with it. And that's always been rewarding to me to have that. And there's some songs that you choose certain instruments, and there's some songs that you choose certain voices. And for the two songs that Cara sang on this, I think she really got the message across and what I wanted from that female interpretation of it.
Yeah, it's cool, because when for me, sort of listening to it as an album with the through line, you get to that point, and it's like, oh, that's the other side of the phone line right there. That's the other side of the table, at this point. How does the story change for you in these moments?
Yes, I know. Yeah. It's it's hopefully healing.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you from the get-go, like I hadn't read anything, I hadn't talked about anything. I got the album sent over, and it goes on, and I think, wait a second, am I listening to the right thing? This is because again, I've heard you with these sounds and everything, so I wasn't so surprised with the acoustic. But right from the beginning, like Big Sky Woman, like we're in the Americana zone right here, parts of country. In fact, maybe it's even that term Big Sky. When I was listening to it, I started thinking about Chris Whitley. Like it's got that sound. I would love to hear about that part of your background too, because again, whether we know you from hard rock and glam rock or even the Perdita stuff, like this still seems like something else that's going on. Was Americana, was country, is that part of your background? Did you have those heroes growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in the 70s, so all the music that I was listening to, whether it be from my mom's room or my sister's room or my brother's room, it ranged from John Denver to Jimi Hendrix. And I absorbed all that when I was younger. I've always been a huge fan of acoustic-based artists. I also covered a couple of Gordon Lightfoot songs. And they're not on the record, but I'll be releasing them. But Gordon's one of my favorite artists. Paul Simon. That was my childhood growing up. That was part of my childhood growing up. And obviously playing loud music and being in a band, it brings a certain thing. It brings something out that is part of what I love. And so is sitting down. I mean, through the years of STP, you know, I have a really warm affection for Brazilian music. And I tried to introduce that on our third record. There was a song called "And So I Know," and you know, just introducing these flavors into the music always. I think when it comes down to something this intimate, I didn't set out for it to be Americana, but I think just playing an acoustic and playing maybe certain chords or something, it comes from that place. It's just a part of my DNA, so to speak, now, you know, being older. Yeah.
Well, I will say, you know, no surprise when we hit the title track, I thought, well, there's the Laurel Canyon. Like that's probably inescapable for you. I would imagine like that's going to be there.
Oh, well, that's why I chose Tim Bloom. You know, Tim, he knows that area well. He knows that area of music well. So that's why it was great honored to have Tim on this record.
Yeah. You know, I brought up that last STP record with Perdita. I think the one song on here maybe that I do find that close thread is What I'll Do. Does that one feel like that sort of lives in that world? I mean, did you have that moment where you're like, oh yeah, there the line is?
Well, once again, I think it's just the way you approach a song, and that's the beauty of music. You can approach a song. You know, I could take, for example, Interstate Love Song started out as a bossa nova piece, so it kind of started from there. But to fit the band, I needed to put it in an area where it kind of sounded more rock and roll, I guess. You know, but it started out as a bossa nova on a nylon acoustic guitar.
That's amazing. Well, that sort of goes along with this, because with that last record, you did really blow the doors wide open as to what you guys could do at any point. You know, and maybe this is the obvious question. I'll go ahead and ask it. So when you get to this record, and you know, also considering the era that we were in and the opportunity it gave you, but could this have been then? I mean, would you have ever wanted something like this to have been the next STP record?
Well, I think it's just too personal for me. It's coming from really an intimate place within me, and this was the kind of record that like I said, it's been therapy for me. I needed to do this. It wasn't I wanted to do it. I needed to do this. Needed to get this out.
Completely understand. Reading the credits, there's a few things I want to ask about.
Sure.
What is a sig fiddle and a marxophone? Oh, we got it.
This is a sig fiddle. It's a 4-string instrument that is a cigar box made by my friend Matty Barato.
Oh, wow.
And this, I got this as a gift from a friend. And as soon as I picked it up, I started writing. It was, I couldn't help it. Very inspiring instrument. I used this on 2 songs on the record. I used this on Is This Goodbye? And I used this on Put Aside Your Sorrows. It's it's an amazing instrument.
What a beautiful sound that comes out of that.
Yeah. So,
oh man, yeah, I could listen to that a little bit more all day. Thank you for that. Yeah, the other thing, I saw a name on there, and it's background vocals that say Gary Wright. I was wondering, is that the Gary Wright? Is that like Spooky Tooth Gary Wright?
Yes. Gary has been a longtime friend, and we've done things together musically, and he's a beautiful person. And Gary wrote a song with George Harrison probably back in the All Things Must Pass era, and he's had it for this long. He had Ringo play drums on it and asked me to play bass on it, and completely honored to do that, to be a part of that. In return, I asked Gary to sing back vocals, and quite an honor having him do that. Yeah.
It sounds great on there. You all sound great. And that's the thing. I mean, I keep saying that it's a beautiful record, just the way it all blends together. I'd say, mixing your worlds, maybe for you, it feels like this is your fishing record as well. And that's
yes. Yes.
Is this the music you listen to when you're out with casting away, right?
No, I don't listen to music at all. I listen to the birds and everything that has that's another form of my therapy, just being out. Right now, currently, my neighbors are fixing up their house, so I'm hearing a drill next door. So that's why I get out into the wilderness and hear absolutely nothing but birds. Yeah.
I love watching your social media feed and just seeing that you'll take any opportunity whatsoever. Like, because I think you said, like, oh, look, there's a spot right outside the hotel window. I can go fishing out there.
Yes, exactly. I've brought my poles on the road in my case for forever. So wherever I am, I'll find a place to just get out in it. And fishing's the kind of thing that even if you don't catch anything, just being out there and enjoying that area, it's really I guess I use touring as an excuse to go fishing. So.
No, we hear about all the time, you sort of have the, the rock star buddies who'll play golf together or something like that. Like, do you find that you've got some really great rock star buddies who are great at fishing?
No, I just get away from whether it's by myself or with some friends. It's not necessarily anyone who's associated with music. I do have friends that are into fishing, that are musicians, and I'll take any time I can to fish with them. Yes.
Yeah. That's a funny line, though. It's using tour as an excuse to go fishing. That's
yes.
Appreciate that. Robert, it's always a pleasure to talk to you again. This record, it's so great what you're doing. I Put Aside Your Sorrows. You'd mentioned that one. It's one of my favorites on here. And that line, "Come and Meet the New Sunrise." I mean, there's something perfect about what you're doing. So congrats and thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.